What is up, everybody? We are live and a little bit late here, about 55 minutes late, but it's all good. Yeah, we'll
I'm
just
sorry. I'm so
no, it's
sorry.
all good. Technical difficulties. We don't know who the technical difficulties were on. I don't know how to delete the chat, so hopefully we don't have anybody dropping in on that StreamYard link that I put in the chat. But if we do, I'm probably not going to let you in unless your name's Bunny. Bunny, if you want to drop in on that link, you're always welcome. But we're here to break down, I think it's UFC Vegas 33. We're back at the Apex again. Who knows? We might be returning to the Apex for a longer period of time, but we shall see. But we're going to jump in here. We're already obviously a little bit behind here. Technical difficulties will happen. But appreciate everybody's checked out the LFA 113 breakdown as well as the Bellator McKee versus Pitbull breakdown. There's still 2 more days for that one. LFA is tomorrow, so check those out. We have gotten heard the feedback. We're going to work on not interrupting each other, Brandon. So hopefully he can work on that moving forward, and I'll work on it as well. But it's all good, man. We're a newer channel. We're working out the kinks as we go here, technical and with regards to the show. But we got a good card here to break down. How you doing, Brian? I haven't said shit to you. Sorry.
Man, dude, I am good, man. This card is very interesting, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of unknown, not very well-known names on here that, could be well-known names soon. So I'm excited to watch this card, man. I'm excited to talk about it.
Not to mention, we got your fight coming up on The Ultimate Fighter this next week. Spoiler alerts for that. But, you're fighting Tuesday, 9 o'clock on ESPN+. How you feeling? How are you feeling at this moment once it was announced?
Man, dude, it was a fun matchup because from the jump, I was calling for Petrosky, not for any personal reasons, just because he was the number 1 pick and I wanted to make a statement. So I'm excited that I get a chance to make a statement, make a big statement, I feel like anything that anyone could have said about my last fight, hopefully I can, strive to correct any of those doubts in this upcoming fight. But we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited to watch it. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know who had a problem with your last fight. I loved it. But, regardless, we'll see after this one. Hopefully your hands stay up at least. I'd like to see the hands stay up, and I think that will most likely.
I was feeling myself in the first fight. You know what I'm saying? I was feeling a little saucy. You know what I mean? But
because obviously, it worked out so well for your opponent. But we got a very important middleweight main event for this one. I always love hearing your thoughts on your division here. We've got one guy in Sean Strickland, absolutely surging right now. 5 straight wins. Has come back from his motorcycle accident. Hasn't seemed to miss a beat. It's just but this is your division, man. So these are guys. I mean, Strickland not too long ago was a guy who was fighting at the beginning of the prelims, and now all of a sudden he is not only fighting, but he's favored against Uriah Hall. So we'll definitely get to that when we talk about that fight. 5-round main event, Uriah Hall, middleweight. Some call it gatekeeper, some call it journeyman.
I mean, Uriah Hall's surgeon too, so I mean, and it's a fun matchup stylistically. So I'm looking forward to getting into that one.
5 minutes, yeah. It's very unlikely that I think it hits the ground at all. But we're gonna hop in here. We're a little bit late, but it's all good. We keep turning. If you are tuning in, we appreciate it. Raul obviously is in the chat, the homie, amongst others. But we are starting at the welterweight division here with Ryan Koski taking on Philip the Fresh Prince Rowe, 7-3, taking on 7-0 Ryan Koski. Philip Rowe coming off that loss to Gabriel Green in his, I believe it was his UFC debut, coming off of the Contender Series where he got a 3rd-round knockout of Leon Chavazian. 31 years old, 6'3", 80.5-inch reach, fighting on Fusion XL in Orlando, Florida. Right off the bat, He did not use that 80.5-inch reach effectively at all in his first fight against Gabe Green, a very stocky, short reach fighter in himself. So right off the bat, he does have the reach. He did not show to use it in his first fight. He also was outstruck 110-48. So there's he did arguably win the first round, but certainly slowed down. Seemed to start to get bullied and crowded. He's definitely a jiu-jitsu fighter as well. He's had a couple grappling bouts recently at Submission Underground 22. Interestingly enough, I was at the Jacksonville fights on April 24th, and I saw Phil Rowe at the fights on April 24th. He was fighting and that was in Jacksonville, Florida. He was then at the Submission Underground in Portland, Oregon the next day, where he got armbarred by Gabriel Pacheco. So right there, I think that is cool, but it also is like something you do maybe at 21, now 31. So I kind of question a little bit of his overall mental game, how much he's taking this seriously. You'll see him often, at the weigh-ins, taking a lot of pictures. It's the Fresh Prince. I mean, but overall, he's got a good grappling game. He's tricky. If he can use that reach, I think he could be a real problem for Orion in this fight. Orion yet to make his UFC debut. He was supposed to, but had a shoulder injury, which I listened to an interview with. Decided to go against surgery. The doctor then, which is okay, that's fine. The doctor said take a few weeks off. He decided to take 1 week off before he went back to working out. He believes that after doing his own research, that it is more important to strengthen the injury and try to make it on your own without rest or rehabilitation or possible surgery. So that is a huge question mark for me coming into this fight.
That sounds like some serious neuroscience right there.
Yeah, it is complete bro science. You can, if you look up the interview, with on I believe it's Fight Night Picks channel. They have an interview with JHK where he's talking to him about this. So definitely very, very alarming to hear that. But Orion is definitely a beast. His brother did lose Lewis earlier in the summer, but 27 years old, 5'7", 71-inch reach. So 71-inch reach versus an 80.5-inch reach. Again, if Rowe can use that, I think it's really to his advantage. I don't think Orion will look to take him down because I do think Phil should have a grappling edge as well. So that could get kind of tricky, but Orion did have an impressive third-round knockout of Matt Dixon. That was a fight that was 1-1 going into the third. Matt Dixon, very good wrestler, who had trouble as the fight went on. I've been back and forth on this one. I'm going to go with the guy who doesn't have some serious injuries coming in on a UFC debut and kind of lacks experience overall in Orion. I'm going to go with Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe, 31 years old, needs this very badly. If he goes to 0-2 against the opponents he did, I think he might be getting his walking paper. So I'm going to take Phil Rowe. I think Orion, if he takes him down, could possibly get submitted. But on the feet, I look for Phil to use a little more volume and use that reach. So,
yeah, man. I mean,
those injuries are questionable, man. Rehabilitating yourself from injuries, shoulder injuries especially, that are questionable. Brandon, I know, is a big Orion fan. He's got him in a parlay. But what are your thoughts on this one?
No, I mean, like you said, I mean, not only to have a shoulder injury, the shoulder being such a significant part of, I mean, that's, if you can't use your shoulder, that's like one arm gone. You know what I'm saying? To hear that he's kind of like just doing his own thing is kind of alarming, but
fighters are crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. If he's still going with it, maybe it was never as bad as he thought it was in the first place. I don't know. I mean, it sounds sketchy to me, but I mean, he seems pretty confident in it. So maybe maybe his bro science is like breaking. Maybe he's broke through and figured something else out that no one else knows. I don't know. But if we're just talking about the X's and O's, I think Phil Rowe, while Orion, he kind of fights similar to Green, who
Mhm.
obviously gave Philip Rowe a lot of problems. I think Philip Rowe would have won that fight if he wasn't gotten so devastated with those leg kicks. I think those leg kicks really, because he couldn't the whole third round. He literally couldn't, and he still almost won the fight. You know what I'm saying? He
Yep.
still almost won the fight, not being able to get even touched in his lead leg. So. I think Philip Rowe is more dangerous in more places, and I think he had a valuable learning experience in his last fight, and I think he's going to take that over into this next fight, and I think he's going to just outclass Orion. I think Orion's a tough guy; he's going to bring it to him, but I think he's going to get outclassed by Philip Rowe. I think it's going to be a 3-round decision.
Yep, I don't mind that at all. The other thing with Orion is that the record of his opponents is 1-1, 1-3, 1-0, 4-0, 18-43, 2-2, and then 9-0 on the Contender Series against a good wrestler, Matt Dixon. He was supposed to be matched up against Nicholas Dalby back in late November, and he had to withdraw from that due to the injury. So I will say Philip Rowe is a much better matchup for him than Nicholas Dalby would have been for a UFC debut. That is a nightmare. But yeah, good fight. We are agreeing. Philip Rowe is the plus 130 underdog. So we're agreeing on an underdog to start out the night. I do believe there's going to be quite a few dogs coming in on this card. Minus 160 on Orion. And yeah, Rowe's opponents are nothing to brag about, but I do think that Gabriel Green is a pretty comparable opponent. So maybe he's learned from that. It's definitely a good fight. I would not be betting on it either way, but Orion with the injury questions and his UFC debut is enough for me to go the other way. So that is we agree on the first one here. I'm going to move on to the next fight. This could be potentially fight of the night, in my opinion, for the bantamweight division. Trevin 5-Star Jones taking on Ronnie the Heat Lawrence. I will start with the 7-1 Ronnie Lawrence of the Contender Series. He is now 29 years old, 5'8", 70.5-inch reach, 4-fight win streak for the fighting on Nashville, Tennessee. He's coming off of a ground and pound win of Vince Cachero in his UFC debut. That is following a huge upset on the Contender Series against Jose Johnson, a very good Muay Thai fighter, where he was a plus 260 underdog and just spammed those takedowns. The wrestling also came into that fight as well. Ronnie Lawrence, he's looked really sharp, over in LFA as well in his decision win of Garrett Armfield. He did lose to Steve Garcia over in Bellator, but I think that's a very good experience to have early on in his career there as well, and that was in 2016 but he's been at bantamweight the whole time. He is definitely a true bantamweight, very well-rounded, good, smooth stand-up, and better takedowns, taking on a very good opponent, though, Trevin Jones, the Guam product, 5-star, 13-6. Record for the 30-year-old here, 5'7", 70-inch reach. So he's going to have a slight reach advantage and height, coming off that big win of Mario Batista, where he got the uppercut, followed by the ground and pound there. He also had a win over Timur Valiev in his UFC debut. It was a no contest due to weed. So 2 very, very good wins, and frankly, 2 guys who might be better than Ronnie Lawrence, but we also we don't know. Ronnie Lawrence, 7-1, still very young in his career. This is a really tough matchup for me. That Mario Batista fight took quite a bit, showed quite a bit for me. And Jones has cashed as a dog in 2 straight fights, and he is a dog again in this fight. I think it's a very, very interesting one. I could really go either way. I think these are very well-matched fighters. I'm going to go with Ronnie Lawrence, though. I think he has the ability to mix it up a little more and has a little better volume and pace than that of Trevin, but Trevin has the ability to finish this in one punch, much more likely than Ronnie Lawrence. I'm going to take Ronnie to look to keep him on the back foot and get him to the ground, mix it up here, use a little bit of a stand-up, use a little bit just an overall MMA game plan. So I'm going to take Ronnie Lawrence, but this is a really tough one for me. I know Trevin's on fire right now. Ronnie did look good, although it was against Vince Cachero. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, and in all fairness to Vince Cachero, he looked pretty. I mean, as good as you could look in that fight, he looked pretty decent. I mean, Ronnie Lawrence is just a step ahead of him every move in that fight. Ronnie Lawrence, to me, he is an outstanding prospect. I mean, his wrestling is so smooth, and his ability to get big takedowns without using a ton of energy, I think that's a big key for him. He's not, struggling, bunny. He's not struggling for these takedowns. You know what I'm saying? He's hitting quick takedowns. Just setting traps for people. I think I think the way he fights, I'm picking him to beat Trevin by decision.
Okay.
But the way, especially watching his last fight, he got touched several times in that first round, right to the dome. You know what I'm saying? He got a little too cute on the feet. And Trevin is, when you're talking about someone with one punch knockout power, he's a person with one punch knockout power. So I think Ronnie Lawrence should be the one to take it by decision, but he can't be dancing around being as cute as he was in his last fight, or else he will get put to sleep. So, but with all that said, Ronnie Lawrence by decision.
Yeah, I think that Brandon put it very well here. Yeah, man, everybody going crazy. Man, Bunny shows up and the comments go off. Everybody's like, Bunny's here. Bunny's here, everybody. Bunny comes back next week. It's just like, gotta love it. She gets the comments. They don't call her Boston Comments for nothing. But Brandon did say right here, Ronnie is one of his favorite up-and-coming fighters, for sure, me as well. Amazing striking. His heavy wrestling game going to be a problem for anybody. And then, yeah, Bunny saying hello to her legion of fans. So, yeah, everybody here for the Bunny. I can't argue with the logic here. Minus 150 on Ronnie Lawrence, plus 130 on Trevin Jones. I think that you wait to bet this if you're betting Ronnie Lawrence, because I think all the money is going to be coming in on Trevin Jones with those two highlight finishes. I think that people have kind of forgotten about Ronnie Lawrence a little bit. Decent debut, but, there's some holes to poke in it. I think it might be a while until we see a minus 150 again on Ronnie Lawrence until he gets into that upper echelon after this. So,
not to mention, on top of that, he's just like, if you just look at a picture of both of them, like even just looking at this, these two pictures on Tapology, I mean, Trevin just looks like a scarier person,
I mean, it was the same in the Jose Johnson fight. All these fights, Ronnie looks like but he's looking sharper and sharper. Just had to say hi to my boy Taj, making his appearance here. Shout out to y'all who are making the adjustment and waiting with us an hour late. That means a lot, and appreciate y'all being here. So we are together on the favorite here. We've gone Philip Rowe and Ryan Lawrence through 2. Let's see if we go 3 for 3 here. This is this is an interesting fight. Strawweight fight. Can you hear that sizzle? Because that's my steak cooking as this fight's going. We got the Ashley Yoder Jinyu Frey special.
I can smell the steak cooking. I can smell it cooking already.
I know they say you shouldn't have too much steak, but you know what? I just got my blood work done, went to the doctor, and the numbers have never been better, and the steak intake has never been higher. So I'm going to just go with my Orion bro science there and just say,
yes, sir. That's that kind
keep
of
it on. Yep. Boss Bunny going with the scary dude, so she's going with Guam's Trevin Jones. That's fine. And then yes, beef, absolutely. And I don't have a problem with either pick in that fight. I think it's a very close one, but I can't pass up Ronnie Lawrence at that price, and I think he has a very clear avenue. But Jinyu Frey and Ashley Yoder. Jinyu Frey is now 36 years old, 5'3", 65-inch reach, former atomweight champion with Invicta, 10-6 record currently, coming off of that win against Gloria De Paula. By the way, Gloria De Paula fighting in like top 3 fights of the night.
I don't understand her and Giant both coming off a loss. Like I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But whatever, man. So.
Yeah. They invested in Cheyenne, and they're gonna get their money's worth, I guess. And then Bunny pointing out she sees that Team Volk shirt on, so always repping the team on what is that, 5 straight wins now?
5 straight wins. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Ricky too.
Shout out to Ricky. What a guy. What a legend.
What a legend. I am certain he will make an appearance on this channel at some point here.
For sure.
But Jin Yu Frey, she's won 2 of her last 4, although them coming against Ashley Smashley Cummins and Gloria DePaula in her last fight. Gloria DePaula, she was able to implement some wrestling actually in that fight, and I was very surprised. But her 2 losses came to Loma Lukbume and Kay Hansen. Both those fighters are up-and-coming prospects, and really no shame in losing to either one of those. The problem is she's an atom weight, and these strawweights are just way bigger than her. She was looking good against Kay Hansen before she got armbarred, though. And she came back against Gloria. Ashley, the thing is, she's facing Ashley Yoder. This is going to be a close fight, just because Taj. This is funny. Oh shit! It is. I just realized it too. Wow. Yeah, good fight. Taj is a fan. Rooting for you. Hell yeah. Taj is a legend. Taj has been here. Taj is one of the OG guys to follow the channel. Shout out to Taj. We'll get to those timestamps eventually, I promise, buddy.
Yeah,
but
the man.
Yeah, but Brandon, Yoder's record 3-6 in the UFC in 5 years. She has stuck around. Her record now is 8-7 for the Spider Monkey. She's approaching Randa Marcos record territory. She's only 33 years old, which kind of shocking to me. She must spend a lot of time never mind. 5'7", 69.5-inch reach, fighting out a Team Quest, which is still around. I'm kind of surprised Team Quest is still around. You don't hear a ton about them at this point. It's just she's won 1 of her last 4. She's lost to Randa Marcos, Liviana Souza, and Angela Hill. Angela Hill absolutely demolished her. She did beat Miranda Granger, which is a decent win for sure. I think that the size is just going to be significantly on Ashley Yoder's side. She has a 4-inch reach advantage, a 4-inch height advantage. I think that the grappling, she should have the advantage. I just look for Yoder to make this, kind of grappling heavy, dirty fight, maybe land some ground and pound, but I just don't think on the feet it makes sense for Yoder to take it that way. Yoder has lost only decisions. She's lost all 7 by decisions, 5 by unanimous, and 2 by split. So she is hard to finish. Jin Yu Frey is not going to be the one to test that. Average fight time of 15 minutes. This one's going to distance, in my opinion. And I think that the key is the top position for Yoder, 3rd most in the strawweight division. And I think she gets on top and kind of stays there. She's just bigger. I wish that there was an atomweight division for Jin Yu Frey, because that would make more sense for her. And at 36 years old, time's running out. I'll take Yoder very unconfidently because it's Yoder. Yoder by decision.
And it's funny because I'm also very nervous about this, but I'm going the other way. I'm going with Jin Yu. It's just I have no faith in Ashley Yoder at this point. Jin Yu, in her last fight, it was easy to expect a totally different game plan, and she showed something else. She showed a little bit more life recently, and so I think she's fighting with a little bit more purpose. And
bro, I'm gonna trademark that shit. I'm gonna trademark that and have it be a steak in the shape of the octagon. And
You
just
need a
steak fight.
you need a trademark. Can you hear that sizzling for any time one of these fights comes on? You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it
saying?
was to say, yeah.
That
You
should be
hear
your
that sizzling
t-shirt.
steak fight?
That
I got
should
my merch. Aaron the Dog merch coming in 2022, baby. But yeah, we're going to disagree on this one. Plus 120 on Jin Yu Frey, so you're the lucky one who gets the dog in this matchup. I only would bet this, and I'm still not going to if Yoder becomes a dog. Yoder minus 136. I can't count on her. I'm kind of shocked she's only 33. That shook me up. But anyways, next fight, much better fight here. The steak will be coming off of the grill and onto the plate for Danny Chavez versus Kai Kamaka III, baby. This is a good featherweight matchup of two guys who've had a little bit of trouble so far in their UFC career, but that's what the UFC is for, to give you a little bit of a next level opposition. Kai Kamaka, though, the third, 8-4 now for the Hawaiian product, who's now fighting out of, I believe, for at least a significant portion of this camp, Extreme Couture, but he has been around. He is from Hawaii, 5'7", 69-inch reach for the 26-year-old, coming off of 2 straight losses to Jonathan Pierce, where he just kind of got exposed in that second round, especially with the grappling, got ground and pounded, actually, and then lost a very close split decision to TJ Brown. That was a fight I was so heavily on Kai in, and I thought he did get robbed. But, you know, again, it's Kai was fighting very close, got very tired, left it to where it's hard to look good in front of the judges when you can't even raise your arms at the end of the third round. The judges see that shit, and they make judgment based on that often. You know, definitely Extreme Couture is still a very, very good camp at this point, and we all know that. And we'll get to Danny Chavez in a second, Brandon. But yeah, Kai Kamaka before that UFC debut came against Tony Kelly. Really good fight there, but another fight where he kind of did get tired as it went on. Does really go to that wrestling, but when he's going to that wrestling, it seems like there's a lot of effort being put into the wrestling, and not a lot. I'll let him answer that. I didn't laugh, you know, and not a lot of wrestling that isn't without.
You have a lot of enthusiasm for Extreme Couture. It just made me laugh how much enthusiasm.
Oh, okay, all right. Anyways, a lot of enthusiasm for Extreme Couture from Bunny Comments or Boston Comments here. It's getting warm in here. But yeah, 1 and 2 so far for Kai Kamaka. He does just go to that wrestling with a little bit too much effort, and it gives me trouble having faith in the 3 rounds. But again, you know, he's out of a very good camp in Extreme Couture. It's still a good camp, still doing the damn thing. You know, definitely if he's going to work on his wrestling, it's a good place to work on his wrestling at, I would think. And, you know, he's got a lot of fellow Hawaiians that are going to be in his corner and working with him leading up to this. Obviously, Puna Soriano just had a fight recently. Yeah, taking on Danny Chavez, who is coming off of the loss to Jared Gordon here, but 11-4 for the Colombian Warrior. Overall, 34 years old, so definitely time's running out. Fighting out MMA Masters. He does have a win over TJ Brown, so they have the common opponent of TJ Brown. You know, but and Jared Gordon, the way that Jared Gordon beat Danny Chavez was he kind of gassed him out in the 3rd round and wore him out, used the wrestling. This is an extremely close fight. Both guys have gas issues. Kai Kamaka is 26 versus 34 here. Yeah, it's tough. Chavez looked very good in his debut, and I've heard a lot about Danny Chavez leading up to the UFC. You know, and but one thing I also did have heard about him pretty consistently from the jump is that does not love training. Sometimes the gas is and the cardio is an issue both in training and in the fights. Kai Kamaka at 26 still, you know, can kind of work on the gas. And the other part, And the other part that is interesting for Kai Kamaka, only one finish in 8 fights. So even though he is going to these decisions, he still is showing kind of some issues here. It's tough. Danny Chavez has faced 2 opponents, both missing weight. I don't know. It's a very close fight. I'm leaning towards the younger fighter, though, in Kai Kamaka here. Just slightly, I think that Chavez is going to want to keep this on the feet a little bit more. And I think as they slow down, Kai may work the cage control, maybe be able to work some takedowns. I think this is most likely going to a decision, though, and most likely a quick one. Brandon just delivering all the numbers here. Finishing machine for Danny Chavez. For some reason, I thought he was more of a finishing machine, but Chavez at 34. I'm not sure if he got to UFC a little late. I know that he has had issues with his work rate in camp before as well. So I'm going to lean towards the Hawaiian Kai Kamaka here. Not my most confident pick of the night, though, but I'll take Kai Kamaka. We're seeing a lot of decisions because I think there's a lot of close fights.
Well, I'm also taking Kai Kamaka in this fight. I don't think it's going to be a decision, though. I think Kai, he's going to get the finish. I think, Danny, he's a dangerous dude, but you can tell, kind of like what you were touching on earlier, he's a guy who kind of relies on that athleticism. He has tremendous athleticism, but technically speaking, you can kind of tell when he goes to throw combinations, he's not necessarily throwing the most intelligent combinations. He's just kind of throwing as fast as he can. And, that's good. But, Kai Kamaka, he's fast too. And he looks a little bit more intentional with his striking. He looks a little bit more tactical. And I think kind of like you said, with Danny being in his 30s and kind of more set in his ways, Kai, and being on a 2-fight losing streak, I thought he won his last fight. He has more room to grow. And I think he's going to get it done right here, avoiding a 3-fight losing skid. And
How's he finishing?
Oh, knockout.
Ground and pound?
Second round.
Okay.
Cool. I think it's going to be, I can see a wild exchange coming. I think Kai's punches are cleaner, and he's going to connect with a straight punch that puts him down.
And we were making fun of, Bunny a little bit with her extreme couture. But I do think that it's a very good camp for Kai.
It is a great camp. You're talking Francis Ngannou, Jake Shields trains out there. Shout out to my boy Ryder Newman, who's out there. Brad Tavares. There's a lot of really good guys at Extreme Couture. I just thought it just was funny to me. I was like, I've never heard anyone who didn't go to Extreme Couture be such a big fan of Extreme Couture.
Yeah, once you shoot on Bunny, she doesn't forget. I just want to make it on record. I was not laughing. I know better than to laugh at Bunny. Nothing Bunny says is funny. Everything is just serious. Never laugh at Bunny. But next fight here, Chris Grutzmacher taking on Rafa Garcia. And never do. We would never ask for that. Chris Grutzmacher versus Rafa Garcia. By the way, Kai Kamaka -120, +105 on Danny Chavez. So Danny Chavez is the slight underdog here. I know that Taj was leaning towards Danny Chavez in the chat. So respect, man. It's a very close fight. We got the slight favorite in Kai Kamaka. Next fight here, Chris Grutzmacher versus Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia, nicknamed Gifted, is 12-1 for the Mexico fighter, 26 years old. He actually turns 27 on fight night. So I think he's fighting on his birthday, at least according to Tapology. So that's pretty cool. That's definitely is showing the dedication to the game. So he's going to be 27 by fight night. Did come off a loss on his short notice debut against Nasrat Haqparast, but he really gave Nasrat all he could handle in that fight. It was in March of this year, and he looked very good. He was a +410 underdog, and it was a very close fight. Before that, beat Umberto Bondale, former UFC opponent, former UFC fighter. Didn't have a great UFC run. He did have a win or two, though. Before that, 10-3 Eric Gonzalez. So got a lot of good experience with Combate. Beat Chase Gibson, who's beat some very good fighters along the way. Very good level of competition, 12-1. Really like what I've been able to see. Has good wrestling, good submissions, and looks like the hands have come along very well, very good as well against Nasrat. Rafa is definitely getting a very, very nice gift here in Gutzler, in my opinion. I think that this is set up for Rafa to show off his defensive wrestling and then light him up on the feet. 35-year-old Gutzler fighting out of ATT, so good camp, but Chris, we kind of know what we're getting with him from this point. He did have a win over Joe Lozon, but besides that, has lost 3 of his last 4, choked out by Davi Ramos as well as Chaz Skelly, and knocked out by Alexander Hernandez. I like Rafa Garcia here. I think Rafa most likely gets the rear naked choke finish, but possibly might keep it on the feet, look to show off that stand up and get a TKO. But Chris Gutzler definitely on the way out here, 35 going on 36. Rafa, one of my favorite picks of the night so far. Rafa Garcia.
Yeah, man. I mean, Rafa was one of those guys that I fell in love with off of his regional tape, because his regional tape was just so much fun to watch. I mean, fun, especially with those Combate Americas announcers in the background. I mean, those guys are awesome. I need to start watching fights in Spanish, but. Yeah, man, dude, Rafa is like a Terminator, man. I think his striking, the way he throws punches, the speed and power isn't too different from Alex Hernandez. So that off the bat is bad for
Gutzler. Grits.
Yeah, I'm calling him Grits, man. That is like, because I was really confident before I said his last name for the first time. I was like, ooh.
It's always easier when you're not on stream to say names. Once you get on stream, like I was on a stream at one point and I didn't know how to say Nurmagomedov. So I almost just tripped over it there. I'm like Nurmagomedov. So
it's like you hear it, you think about it in your head, you're like, oh, and then you try to say it like,
yeah, it's like have a stroke, start smelling toast.
Oh, yeah. Bless, man. Jeez Louise. But yeah, Chris, Chris the Grits, man. He looked great. He looked great against Joe Lozon, but I mean, outside of that fight, has not looked amazing. His defensive striking isn't great. His offensive striking is pretty basic. I think Rafa has him beat in every aspect of the game.
Seriously,
so yeah, I think this is a showcase fight for Rafa.
Yeah, really
Rafa by finish.
Joe Lozon is a great guy. We all love that fight. I saw him against John in his last fight in Boston. Actually, against Jonathan St. JSP, or whatever, the JSP guy. I'm forgetting his first name right now, but Lozon was a plus 200 dog and knocked him out inside of 2 minutes. So Boston was never louder for the entire night than for that fight. So Lozon, absolute legend. I look at Rafa's price very begrudgingly because I'm afraid, and it is the dreaded minus 300, plus 250 on Gutzler. I will definitely and Joe Lozon does have a camp in Easton. He's become a very good coach as well. I will be putting Rafa Garcia in several parlays, even at minus 300. I do believe that he beats Grits everywhere. So we'll see. Maybe we're getting too high on the still newcomer in Rafa, but it seems like Chris is at the end here. Yeah, I think that on a close card like this, you got to hold on to those ones you feel good about. Another fight at 145 here coming up. The last fight was at lightweight 155, but this is a great 145 fight here. We got Colin Anglin taking on Melic Bogdazarian. That was hard to say.
I'm not even going to try that one.
It's you can just call him
I'm
Melic.
gonna call him Melic because that is distinctive enough by itself. Everyone knows what I'm talking about if I say Melic. So go ahead.
Also known as the Gun. It's all good. Yeah, I remember seeing this guy on the Contender Series. It was a wild fight he was in. He's out of Armenia, 29 years old. Looks like he just rolls out of bed when he fights. Just kind of got those sleepy killer eyes. Beat 4-1 Dennis Butzika on the Contender Series back in September of last year. He was the slight underdog in that fight. So, yeah, very impressive win there. Went the distance in that one. Definitely was throwing hard, getting a little bit tired as it went on. But you know, it's just it's one of those fights that I think showed a lot from Melic, but he's been out for a little while now. And then, yes, sir, obviously, we'll get to Colin Anglin in a minute, but MSU Spartan. I'm from East Lansing, so yeah, he is fighting out my hometown. Shout out. We got the friends in the comments. Elliot, what's up, Elliot? What's up, Jackie? We got Elliot who shows up, you know, certain points, so that's good to have him back. Colin Anglin, Melic, basically Muay Thai fighter, mostly stand up for the most part, just goes in and definitely just throws kind of wild. And he is trained by Edmund Targaryen out of Muay Thai Americans in Glendale Fight Club. That is Ronda Rousey's former coach. So just buyer beware there. Not exactly my favorite coach in the world there. Colin Anglin, good.
I was just going to say, Ronda Rousey's original coach, Go Korchavik at a highest stand. You know what I'm saying? Highest stand for the win. You know what I'm saying?
And then she sold out and left for Edmund.
She sold out. And that guy is the worst coach in the game. But he's awesome. Keep on going.
And Colin Anglin fighting a Scorpion Fight Club. I don't know the name of that coach, but I'm assuming he's better than Edmund Targaryen. Colin is on a 7-fight win streak, 28 years old, 5'9", for the Michigan State Spartan. Good wrestler for sure. Coming off of that win in the Contender Series over Muhammadjan Naimov. I had Naimov in that fight. I was very impressed with Naimov going into that fight, and Anglin was a monster, absolute monster. He came in huge, looks very well sized for his division. His wrestling translated well. Has good power with his punches. Has several TKO knockouts as well. I think that Colin's gonna look to get in there, get a hold of Melic, and get him to the ground. Expose that gas tank a little bit, expose the overall MMA game. And I like Colin all day in this fight, man. I think the wrestling's going to be there. I think we could see a possible ground and pound finish, but I really do like Anglin overall in this fight. Wrestling, I would, if I had to pick method, I'd say decision, but just give me Colin Anglin in this fight against the still very raw, very green Melic Bogdarovich or whatever his name, Melic. You know, I just think that the experience better, the slightly better overall game plan and the wrestling is going to be the difference. And I just think that, you know, Melic is doing too much. Yeah, Brandon brings it up. Kickboxing, boxing, MMA, it's all of those. But he's not really working on his overall MMA game plan. He's just a striker in all of these fights. And Anglin is one of the biggest guys at featherweight. As long as that cut goes smoothly, I think the wrestling takes over in this one. Yeah, I like Anglin by decision, but I think the finish could come too. I'll bet this straight up for Anglin.
Yeah, Melic is, you know, he's a major front runner, man. I mean, you know, you could look at his fights leading up to his Contender Series fight, and you could even look at his Contender Series fight where, you know, he just started off the fight so fast. You know, he was kind of able to coast on the damage he did in the first round in that fight. Colin's a dog, man. I mean, I would say he definitely lost the first round of his Contender Series fight, but he was just tough and just stayed in the guy's face. He ate big shots, came back with his own big shots. His wrestling, his grappling was big. And, you know, I would say Naimov is reminds me sort of Melic. You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
Another kickboxing. Another kickboxer, another devastating striker that he was able to just wear down and land his own big shots and grind out the victory. So. I think Colin will get the victory in this one too. I think I think Melic's gonna come out. I think if he wins the fight, he wins it in the first round by KO.
Agreed.
But once it leaves the first round, it's Colin all day, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, Melic was breathing very hard after 5 minutes in his first fight, for sure. But he landed a ton of damage and was able to carry on to that second round. But by the third, he was gassed. I think Anglin can really expose that gas tank as well. Anglin is the underdog plus 120 right now, and I love that dog. I think it's a very good dog. There are 3 to 5 dogs coming in on this card, in my opinion, somewhere, and this is the type of fight it comes in on. Anglin has the experience advantage in an 8-1 as an 8-1 opponent. Yes, it is 2 debutantes. But I agree, Brandon, but I also think that the wrestling debut fighter as opposed to a striking, finishing heavy debut fighter, I'm going to edge towards the wrestler here. I got the dag in Colin Anglin. Got to go with the dags sometimes. I like dags. But yeah, plus 115. I like that price as well. So.
Well, and just throwing in one more thing. In Melic's Contender Series fight, there was a lot of mistakes that he made that his opponent didn't capitalize on. Where when Colin's opponents made those same exact mistakes, he was capitalizing by taking his back. Anytime he overthrew, he was able to capitalize on those things. So Melic has to clean up a lot of things if he wants to be able to beat Colin. So yeah.
And I like that point with how Melic throws his strikes. He really commits to the power on them. So I think that Anglin ducking a little bit of head movement, ducks under one of those overhands and dips in for that takedown. And it should be there. I like this spot. I'm frankly surprised Colin is the dog. And I think it's a very good dog spot. I like Colin Anglin there. Final fight of the prelims. Nico Montano finally makes her return after one fight since being stripped of her flyweight championship. Everybody thinks the only flyweight champion has been Valentina. The first one was Nico. Nico Montano won the first flyweight title. No matter what anybody says, she's taking on Yanan Wu in the man. I might have to get 2 steaks because I might have to make another steak for this one because I just don't know what to think about this fight. Yanan Wu, I'll break down first, nicknamed Mulan, 11-4. She's 25 years old, out of China, 5'8", 66-inch reach. She is coming off of 2 straight losses, however, and has not. She did fight in January of this year, but she lost to Mizuki Inoue by a split decision. Mizuki is not a bad fighter, a little bit undersized, but not bad at all. And then lost to Jocelyn Edwards. Jocelyn Edwards really put it on Yanan in that fight all the way around. Yanan just got a little bit whooped in that fight. Before that, got an armbar Lauren Mueller. I don't know how good Lauren Mueller is. And before that, got taken down 6 times by Gina Mazzani. I do know Gina Mazzani is not great. Yanan has gotten taken down pretty consistently through her UFC career. Another thing is she's bounced around to a ton of camps. For this fight camp, she is at Team Oyama, I believe. So that's a very good camp. She's been training with Carla Esparza. That's about as good of a training partner as you can get to work on your wrestling. Carla getting ready for a title shot soon as well. A little bit undersized, but still, I really respect Carla. But yeah, Yanan just hasn't beat the craziest level of competition before the UFC. Here's a record of her opponents: 0-0, 1-0, 0-0, 1-1, 0-0, 0-2, 0-0, 8-2. She lost to who was Yana Kunitskaya. She got finished by her 0-3, 0-0, and then 4-1 loses to. She beat Lauren Mueller, but then loses. So she beat a whole lot of nothing in Lauren Mueller. Who knows how good that is? Nico Montano, 4-3, 32 years old now. Has not fought since July of 2019 when they made her move up in weight and fight Juliana Pena, who just lost her title fight. But before that, Nico did beat Roxanne Modafferi to win the flyweight title. She also beat Lauren Murphy, Montana De La Rosa, and Barb Honchak. Lauren Murphy, obviously, that win really stands out for Nico, and everything like that. Here's some of Nico's numbers for you as well. But has faced a good level of competition. Her losses are to Pam Sorensen, who's not a bad regional fighter at all. She lost to Julia Avila, very good fighter, and Juliana Pena. So she's only lost to the best. She's beat very good levels of competition. I'm going to take Nico Montano here, but I do not know the condition she's coming back in after so many injuries. She's had to pull out of her last 5 fights for one reason or another. It's always something with Nico, but I would think that Nico is going to go in there, be able to use the ground and pound and outstrike Yanan Wu. I'll take Nico by decision.
Yeah, man, it's tempting for me to go that way too. Just because, like you said, I mean, Yanan Wu hasn't shown a ton, but I mean, with Nico's inactivity, and the combined size factor, I don't know. I got Yanan Wu by decision. I don't know. It's just, with Nico, I don't know what she is right now. Like you said, I mean, she hasn't been around in a minute.
Yeah,
she's without a doubt fought better competition and looked better at times than Yanan Wu, and she could come in here and look great, but there's nothing really about where Nico is at the moment that strikes me as someone who really, really wants to be fighting. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, that's fair. You're taking Yanan Wu to win over a former UFC champion then.
I know. But, I mean,
I'm not mad at it. This is a bold pick for sure. You got the plus 210 dog in Yanan Wu. Man, the odds are in Nico's favor here. I do not agree with this price at all. This is an absolute pass for me. Minus 275, but I would take Nico by decision. Yeah, Bryan is sending it. Indeed.
Send it, baby.
He's sending it.
I like the energy. Let's go, Yanan Wu.
Oh, man. Elliot, look at this. Elliot's with Pooh Bear. Bunny's with Pooh Bear. Okay. All right, guys. Cool. A bunch of hipsters.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm still with the former flyweight champion, better level of competition. Yanan Wu, I just don't know. I don't know. It's a tough fight to call. Interesting fight to end the prelims on. Main card time. We are on to the 170 division. Bryan, bam, Barbarino taking on Jason Vanilla Gorilla Witt. 2 very solid nicknames here. Going to start with the 18-7 fighter out of Glory MMA, Jason Witt, the Vanilla Gorilla. He is 34 years old now, coming off of a loss to Matt Semmelsberger in 16 seconds. I bet on Jason Witt with against Matt Semmelsberger in that fight. I bet on Jason Witt. I was like, Jason Witt's going to come in here, use his wrestling, and ground Semmelsberger. Never got started. Got starched in 16 seconds. Before that, had a fantastic performance against Cole Williams, albeit Cole Williams not great, but the wrestling was there. Finished with the arm triangle choke, one of his favorite chokes. Before that, was knocked out in 48 seconds by Sato. The losses for Witt: KO, rear naked choke against Dakota Cochran, which is weird. Got choked out by a guillotine by a 0-0 fighter and KO'd. He's been KO'd 4 times as a pro. The chin is a serious issue here for me. Goes over to Bryan Bam Barbarino. He's had some back issues, definitely had to recover from those, but he did come back and get a win in his last fight following back surgery, so shout out to him in that. It was against Anthony Ivy. He got the win, though. Anthony Ivy, not great. And actually, I'm wrong. It was after the Anthony Ivy fight that he had to have back surgery, so my mistake. He was supposed to fight Daniel Rodriguez before, unfortunately, having to withdraw from that. And what up, Miz? Good to have you here. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people had Jason Witt in that fight, so I don't feel so bad. Elliot was with me. Taj was with me. Yeah, it's always tough to lose a fight in 16 seconds you bet on. But yeah, this is tough for me. Bryan coming off of that back surgery only back in November of this past year. So it definitely comes down to the health of Bryan Barbarino in this one. But from what I've been able to see from his training, and everything, he's at Jimmo as well as MMA Lab, two very good camps. He seems to have recovered. He does have that pop on him, I think, that is needed to get to TKO. I like Bryan Barbarino first round TKO of Jason Witt. I just don't think Witt has a chin. And I think Bryan's going to go in there and look to make a statement. So I like Bryan by TKO.
You know what, and I don't even have anything to add to this. I got Bryan by finish in the first round. I mean, it's exactly what you said. And it's funny. I think Jason Witt versus Semi the Jedi. I think that was the first fight we ever broke down, and we both had Jason Witt. we both
picked. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a tough guy. Well, I don't know. All right, never mind. But I think Bryan is a terrible matchup for him. He's a guy that is good at landing. Like, he doesn't have the most devastating power in the world, but he's going to connect. And Jason, like I said, he has a suspect chin. I think Barbarino, his takedown defense is really good. And if Jason Witt has to stand with Bryan Barbarino, that's a bad day. First round finish. Bryan Barbarino.
Yeah, this does feel like one of the ones that seems pretty easy to see where it's going for the most part, unless Witt really gets some momentum early and the back issues show up for Bryan. I don't mean to be disrespectful towards Jason Witt, but Bryan minus 275 favorite, unfortunately, plus 220 on Witt, but. Again, I think that earlier on we had the minus. Who was the minus 300? Rafa Garcia. I do think Rafa Garcia, and Bam Bam come in. Miz actually. We talked about it earlier, but we both actually are on Phil Rowe as well. Orion coming off of non-shoulder surgery and a lot of other issues. And then fought in February 17th, 2019. When he lost to Vicente Luque. And that was a fantastic fight, and he was beating Vicente in that fight. And we see where Vicente Luque is at now. So, Bryan Barbarino, there's levels to this shit, and the chin of Jason should come through for us. So, Bryan inside the distance. I like Bryan. Spells his name right, also with a Y, so you got to love that.
There it is.
A man of
you can't trust a man named Bryan who spells their name with an I. Just might be a nice guy, but just be careful. All right.
A man of culture if he has it with a Y. But next fight here, we're at the flyweight division. Ryan Benoit versus Zaruk Adashev. Dude, this fight was supposed to happen a couple months ago. It got canceled, and for whatever reason, the UFC sometimes gets bound and determined on certain matchups to make them happen, and they're bound and determined to have the world see Ryan Benoit take on Zaruk Adashev for some reason. Zaruk Adashev, your eyes, on the main card, and your eyes do not do you disservice here. He is 3-3. That is his actual record. 29 years old for the 5'5", 65-inch reach of the Lion. Coming off of 2 straight losses to Sumanjari and Tyson Nam, who starched him in 32 seconds. We got a lot of guys who've gotten starched on this card. I'm starting to notice. His wins not coming over super notable opponents of Tevin Dice, Ron Leone, and Christian Mendina. Although 3 of those coming in Bellator. His Bellator opponent's not great there. Lost to Cody Mooney by rear naked choke. Ryan Benoit 10-7, also salty. Lowry's definitely sponsoring this fight with these records because these are salty as hell. Babyface, 31 years old, fighting Seikasan Janjara Muay Thai. Hasn't fought since July of 2020. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, lost 3 of his last 4. He's only went to Ashkan Montantarian, went up to bantamweight because he was struggling with his weight, lost to Haley Alatang, came back down to flyweight where he faced Tim Elliott. I'm just going to go with Ryan Benoit. He's faced a better level of competition and has the better finishing ability, but Akashev could come in here and, be a problem. But I just think Benoit has a little better pop for the flyweight division, 3rd most knockdowns landed, 3rd best significant strike defense as well, which is very good. So, yeah, I like Benoit by decision, but he could get a finish as well. But I think this is pretty much a kickboxing fight, and Benoit is just a little bit better than Adeshev. I know Adeshev has the Glory MMA experience, but I think since coming over to MMA, that has not quite translated for him. So I'm going to go with Ryan Benoit. Better experience, better level of competition, better finishing ability, but not super confident decision for Benoit.
No, man. I mean, I can't even lie, dude. When I was watching Ashkev's, that just butchered his name,
Zaruk Adeshev.
Adeshev. When I was watching Adeshev fight, man, dude, I was really shocked when they were like, yeah, he was, a Glory kickboxer. And I was like,
not translated.
Yeah, no, it did not. His MMA striking is not something where if they didn't tell you that he was a world-class kickboxer, you wouldn't guess it based on how he fights in MMA. I think Ryan, his MMA striking is better. I'll
let you take this.
Yeah, man. Let's go.
I'm glad he's only been on the breakdowns for the last 5 months, guys. Good to be here, Miz. But yes, this is Bryan Pooh Bear Battle. He's got a fight coming up this Tuesday on The Ultimate Fighter. Tune in. But yeah, I just wanted to wait. Is this Bryan Battle? Yep. No, it's the other Pooh Bear.
Legendary.
But yeah, good to have you here, Miz. Yeah, Bryan, good enough to be joining me for these breakdowns while he's pursuing the dream here. But yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page here with Ryan Benoit.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Facts.
So yeah, -140 for Ryan Benoit. I love that price. I don't love betting it a ton, but it would be nice to at least be worth putting him in a parlay or two. Yeah, and then Elliott. Yeah, no, it's Bryan from yep, and everybody's just clearing it up here, and then just everybody loving Bryan. This is great. I need to change this to Bryan the MMA channel. Because Taj saying Pax didn't even realize, focus on the breakdown.
That's hilarious.
Then he was like, I was watching, I was like, wait, that's great. But yeah, definitely interesting matchup here that they've been bound and determined for. But -140 Benoit inside the distance, I think he gets it as well. But we'll move on here. Next fight on the main card here, 170. It's a short notice replacement in Jared Gooden taking on Nicholas Stolz, the German product. So Green Mask versus Night Train. I will be breaking down Night Train first. Night Train, he's had a little bit of a tough start to his UFC career. He's only 27 years old, so I will say that. Lost to Alan Joban in a fight where he really had some opportunities against Alan to take that one and just kind of let it slip through his fingers. And then Abubakar Nurmagomedov was a very, it was a competitive fight, but again, Abubakar had a big advantage in the striking, I think, particularly. And yeah, Gooden, I'm just not sure if he's quite UFC caliber. Definitely seems to get caught early on in fights. If you look back at both the Alan Joban and Abukar fight, he lost the first round against Bruno Oliveira, the 53-second loss. Mike Graves, another fight where got to him early. Gooden has shown moments of promise on the regional scene as well, but it's just sometimes just comes forward a little bit too squared up, a little bit lacking the head movement, can get caught. And thing is, Nicholas Stoltz, much more technical, 28 years old, so 28 versus 27, has good kickboxing, coming off the loss to Ramzan Emeev, but Emeev, very, very good, good opponent, and it was a very competitive fight as well. Showed some good takedown defense as well. Before that, was able to fight some decent regional talent as well. A 13-4 Chris Draxler, who he knocked out, as well as Omar Jesus Santana, who 16-5 went to a decision. I don't know. I don't have a super strong read on this one, but it's more a read against Gooden than positive for Stoltz. I do think Stoltz, had a good showing against Emeev, but Emeev has kind of had a few not great performances inside the octagon, so I'm just not sure on this one, but I think Stoltz striking should be the difference. I'll take a decision against Gooden, but yeah. So it's one where, Gooden hasn't shown a great showing so far in the UFC, so it's hard for me to really.
No, man. I mean, it's tough. It's tough because Jared. I mean, especially he's a local guy. I've never met him, but I'm rooting for him. But he just really at the UFC level, he's just kind of like frozen up and just like hasn't done what he's needed to do. I thought he could have beat Alan Joban, and for whatever reason, he just didn't pull the trigger enough to beat Joban. And then, in his last fight, I mean, as soon as he got caught, he didn't really throw. He didn't have anything scary to offer for the rest of the fight. So I think Stoltz is just a little bit more well-rounded, is a little bit more polished. I think he'll just come out here and I could see him getting the finish. I could see it going decision, but I'm going to take Stoltz by a second round KO.
Nice. Yeah, and he was supposed to face Munir Lazez originally, much tougher opponent in my opinion. Stoltz seems to be having some good momentum. He did come off that loss, but it was a very good loss as we've gone over here. Should have a lot of confidence coming into this one. And the odds like him, minus 200 for Stoltz, plus 165 for Gooden. I don't hate it. Definitely can put it in some parlays. I think with the other the other two, minus 300, you're to even money. But I do think that Stoltz can be put in a few at minus 200, but it's getting to the point where I'm not quite super comfortable over investing in Stoltz at minus 200. But we'll see. Next fight here, this is a weird one. 115, third from the top, Gloria DePaula taking on Cheyenne Buys. Two ladies coming off of losses, third from the top on a fight card. Go figure. Cheyenne Buys, 26 years old, fighting off Fortis here, the Warrior Princess. Came in with a ton of hype off of the Contender Series. She fought on the same card as her husband, and she just kept getting head and arm throwed by Mazerat Ruiz over and over and over and over and over and over again. I'm going to need to get 3 steaks because we're going to be making another steak third from the top. That ain't good.
Hey, just don't eat anything all day before the card starts.
I never eat before my steak fights. It's one of my secrets.
On the way.
Yeah, it's one of my I mean, Cheyenne Buys really looked rough in that fight. Before that, she had shown good wrestling in leading up to it, but I hadn't really seen a ton. I was blown away by. She has a loss to Jillian Robertson as an amateur, so shout out to Jillian. It's just I don't really know. I mean, Cheyenne Buys had a decent performance on the Contender Series, came in with a lot of hype. The wrestling very clearly is where Buys is going to look to take this fight, but I ain't betting her. Me and Tosh are in the same position here. She burned us last time, and yeah, it hurt. And yeah, Savage. Shout out to Savage. I'm excited to see Jillian back in there. I want to break down a Jillian Robertson fight soon, and it looks like she's getting in shape and getting prepared to come back. So stay tuned there. But yeah, both these fighters in relationships with current UFC fighters. Gloria DePaula is in a relationship with Mayra Bueno Silva. I believe Silva was also in Gloria's corner for her UFC debut and was a terrible coach. So that hopefully doesn't happen for this fight too, because she just stood there and said nothing as Gloria was getting taken down over and over again. Gloria DePaula, 5-3, 26-year-old, basically a Muay Thai exclusive fighter. Such is the case that she was getting taken down over and over by Jin Yu Frey. JP Buys got cut? I didn't know JP's Buys got cut.
I mean, I'm not that surprised, though.
I mean, it's hard to get cut in the flyweight division so quickly. But fair enough. JP is trash. That's fine. Gloria DePaula, though, definitely needs to keep this on the feet. Pauline Macias was very undersized on the Contender Series, and Gloria benefited and got to keep it on the feet. I do think if this fight's on the feet, it's Gloria's all day, though. If it goes to the ground, it's Cheyenne's all day. Which way am I going? I don't know. I don't really know. Like, I'm not betting this one. I think that I think I'm going to lean towards Cheyenne, though. But I'm not betting it at all. I just think Cheyenne should be able to get a hold of her, get her to the ground. It's been shown in all three of her losses for Gloria, and I do think Cheyenne's better than some of the opponents that have gotten that game plan to work. So Cheyenne's fighting to, provide for both her and her husband, since her husband got cut too. Yeah, she's motivated. The UFC clearly likes her too, to put her third from the top here and give her such a favorable opponent as well. So I'm going to take Cheyenne to do what she's supposed to and go in there and wrestle. I'm not putting $1 down on her at all. I don't know if they're talking about me. I'm not shooting. I got no
unintentional shots.
I got no gun. Hands up. But I'll take Cheyenne by decision. That third stake, I'm going to be full, man. A lot of stakes on this fight.
Man, dude, we're talking about how Cheyenne burned us before, but Gloria burned us too. Both these chicks burned us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right. I've been hurt so many times, I just forget.
Dude, yeah, right. But,
damn, they're buried. Rest in peace, Cheyenne. Or is this JP? I don't know which. Are both buys going to bare knuckle fighting? Damn.
Both buys. Buys are going to bare knuckle.
Maybe they'll open a Best Buy. All right, I'm done. Sorry. I'll boot myself from my channel.
No, Aaron, come back.
All right, I'm back. I couldn't stay away. That felt like forever.
Man, I missed
all right, go ahead and break down this third stake fight of the night.
Yeah, I got Gloria. That's my breakdown.
All right, I'm gonna get that breakdown here on Aaron the Dog. Gloria.
I don't know. It's like a really weird fight. I'll know a lot more about both these chicks after this fight is over, but right now I just don't know enough.
Bro, think about how delirious I'm gonna be after I have my third steak of the night. After like bowl after bowl, I'm just gonna be all high and full. It's like, oh, what's happening? Why are they here? Oh, fuck. That's how I talk when I'm high, apparently.
I mean, you might end up just doing it every night, though. You might end up just like, you're like, oh, this is awesome. This should be like a routine. And then
and rest in peace to Aaron by 2022. Cheyenne Buys is a -165. None of us will know. This is a legendary comment. This fight is sponsored by the Cooking Channel, because we're all just gonna be chefing it up
all over the place. Yes, sir.
But -165 Cheyenne Buys, +140 on Gloria DePaula. Dude, we are burying this fight. Why is this on the main card?
We
Like,
want to know too. We
dude,
want to know
rest
too.
in peace,
Question number
man.
one.
It's just, and like, Dominic Cruz is just going to be hyping up Cheyenne buys or some shit.
I
Because
mean,
that's what he does. But luckily, the top two of the night, very good fights, in my opinion, including this one bantamweight fight. Kwei Hong Kang taking on Hani Yaya, Mr. Perfect, Kwei Hong Kang versus Rani Yaya or Hani Yaya, depending on where you are from. But you know,
whichever
all I
way you
got,
say it, I'll
all I
take
gotta
it.
say, Brandon, is that double screen MMA. We will not be sleeping on any of the fights taking place on Saturday. In all honesty, I do feel like this Saturday is one of the better MMA Saturdays of the year, because you don't get a lot of Saturdays where there's a Bellator and the UFC anymore. And the UFC's got a sneaky good top two, particularly in the Bellator card, top to bottom. Do not sleep on Bellator at all. If you want to hear Brandon and I talking over each other at times, wink, wink, go ahead and check that one out. I mean, I'm super excited for this fight. I'm going to stay focused here. Hani Yaya, I'm breaking down first, 27-10-1 for the 36-year-old Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. 5'6", 68-inch reach, constrictor team, coming off of a win over Ray Rodriguez, beat him by arm triangle. He's lost 7 times, 6 of which have been by submission. However, before that, competitive fight with Barzola, Ricky Simone absolutely dismantled him. However, that was an ugly one. But before that, got a heel hook of Luke Sanders, arm triangle of Russell Doan, and Kimura of Henry Briones. He's just got very good grappling. Always looks like he's tired, but that's just kind of how Hani moves. But Hani just like moves like a caveman. I don't really know how to explain it, but it's really effective. The problem is when Hani can't get it to the ground, and the wrestling isn't there, he has a lot of trouble. Gets ugly very quickly. And he's taking on a very well-rounded fighter here in Kwei Hong Kang. I believe if he fought more regularly, would be much better known to the public here. He's coming in on a 3-fight win streak for the 33-year-old out of South Korea. He is 5'9", 73-inch reach, so 6-inch reach advantage, as well as a 5-inch height advantage here against Hani Yaya. He's just got to keep it off the ground here. If you keep it off the ground with Hani Yaya, he's going to have trouble. He is coming off of 2 straight split wins of Pingguan Liu and Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis fights a lot of guys in split decisions. I do think that and he also has a split decision loss to Ricardo Ramos, which personally I thought he won that fight. So he does fight very close, very competitive fights here. I don't see this one being as close and competitive. However, it has been shown to be an issue for Kang. He even has a split over Michiniro Tanaka back in 2014, but a couple finishes by submission as well. And I think defensively he's sound. I really just think that I'm going to take Kwei Hong Kang to keep this on the feet, make a kickboxing fight, avoid the takedowns. Yihanni's just doesn't have the wrestling to get it to the ground, and I don't think that Kang's grappling is going to be that off. I do think that with Kang, we're going to want to see those triple-digit strikes as opposed to those 20 and 28 and 30. If he's gun shy here, I do think Hani can get the clinch and make this ugly. But yeah, I think it's pretty much similar to the last one. Kang can keep it standing. Should be his. If Ronnie gets it to the ground, it should be Ronnie's. But I do think that Kang is also very good grappling-wise, and we could see him putting Yanni down as Yanni gasses a little bit as well. So I like Kang all the way around in this one. I just think he's fought a lot of close fights, so it makes it hard to bet him heavy. But at the same point here, I think at minus 135, that's a great price against Ronnie Yaya. And, I like Kang in this one.
Yeah, man. And I'm with you. I mean, there's only one reason for the UFC to put a guy like him against Ronnie Yaya. I mean, you know, they're not trying to promote Ronnie Yaya. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to build him up at all. You know, he's there for guys who are looking to take that next step. I mean, can Kang do it? I mean, he's definitely better on the feet. You know, he's more well rounded. Obviously, you know, if Ronnie gets it to the ground, I mean, he's just devastating there. But yeah, I think Kang keeps it on the feet and just touches him up. I don't think Ronnie has the striking to make it. Kind of as you were alluding to earlier, I don't think he has the ability to make it a split decision, unless it's he gets him on the ground part of the round, and then Kang lands some damage on the feet. But yeah, no, I got Kang in this fight by decision.
Yeah, I mean, Ronnie, definitely the more regular fighter, has way more experience, so there definitely are those factors as well. But minus 140, I'm going to take the slight favorite in Mr. Perfect Kang here. Hopefully, he doesn't do what Taj says and have a brain fart and take Ronnie down when he shouldn't. But I think that Kang on the feet, he should be able to take this one. Good, but a good sneaky co-main event that I think not enough people are realizing the potential for, just because Hani makes some fights a little bit rough. He's the Damian Maia of the bantamweight division, as Brandon commented here, but that's pretty spot on. Yeah, I mean, it was a good fight, but Ricky really did dominate when fight was unable to get to the ground, and so. We're going to move on to the main event. This is your division, the 185 division.
Yeah.
In case you didn't know, this is Bryan Pooh Bear Battle, who's doing this breakdown with me. In case anybody else is joining me, he is a middleweight. These are his peers. These are the guys he's going to be fighting in a couple years. Who knows? Things change quickly. Sean Strickland, great example of that. Currently on a 5-fight win streak, did have a motorcycle accident that put potential halt to his career, but 23-3 is Tarzan. Very, very good record there for the 30-year-old. Also fighting on Team Quest here, coming off of 4 very good performances, but the last 3 have come in the pandemic era. Jack Marshman, he threw down with and looked really good. Knocked out Brendan Allen, which that fight has looked better and get better. Brendan Allen coming off that big win where his stand-up looked amazing against Punahele Soriano. Mm-hmm. Against Jocko, man, he just dominated Jocko pillar to post and absolutely gave Jocko no room, no ability to at all have any breathing room. And I'll just leave up this comment for a while, and just leave it there. But love the support coming in.
You're damn straight.
Support coming in. But yeah, I mean, he's fought very, very good level of opponents. Sean Strickland, since coming back from his motorcycle accident, the striking's there, the striking defense is there. I mean, he's looking super motivated. He's a weird guy, talks a lot in there. But very exciting nonetheless. And I just see this being a stand-up war. We got Uriah Hall. He did come off with that broken leg win against Chris Weidman. I was at that fight. He threw no strikes. He's the first fighter in UFC history to win a fight without throwing a strike. So there's definitely – that's interesting. Before that, though, that Anderson Silva fight was really quite the fight to watch. It's been really – I've enjoyed going back and rewatching that fight. Went 4 rounds, finished in the 4th round. Had a little bit of adversity early on, but that's kind of how Hall is. He comes out very composed often. And, yeah, he can finish in the 1st round, but also sometimes takes a little bit of time to get started and he can get put away. Yeah, 4 TKOs, the 4 KO losses. So that is getting to a point where you're questioning against just about anybody. And a guy in Sean Strickland who can really deliver and hit you pretty hard. That is definitely a concern to be aware of here. Hall is training out of Fortis MMA, so very good camp here. And I gotta say, and I was about to kind of go into this, but I really like the focus of Uriah Hall going into this one. He just seems like he's in that late stage of his career where he is focused on getting to the top and getting the results that he should have been getting earlier on in his career. He's really composed here. I think that kind of the mind game attempts, the shit talk of Sean Strickland, that stuff just isn't going to work. The other part is Sean Strickland is wild. He comes forward, he throws a lot, and his defense is actually surprisingly good for how he throws. But Uriah Hall is one of the best counter punchers in the world, and he's going to have a ton of opportunities to counterpunch in this. The offense is going to be continuing to come from Strickland. This is going to go one of two ways, in my opinion. I think Uriah Hall gets a knockout on a counter strike at some point in the fight. It could come at any point, in any of the first, 3 rounds, in my opinion. Or Sean Strickland overwhelms him with that activity, overwhelms him with the volume, has the youth on his side and everything. And, Sean Strickland kind of goes on and possibly puts him away by TKO himself. I think it's a KO either way. I have a hard time seeing this go to a decision with how much striking and volume there is going to be in this fight. I think it's a KO on either side. Hall has finished 14 of his 17 fights here. 7 of the 17 coming in round 1, 4 of the 17 coming in round 3. So that's interesting. Uriah Hall 10-7 in the UFC, while Sean Strickland is 10-3 in the UFC. So both guys have been around since 2013, 2014. Definitely a very close fight. Strickland has a ton of momentum. What he did against Brendan Allen cannot be discredited at all. But I think that either way, I got a TKO. I'm going to go with Uriah Hall here, though. I love the focus. He's coming in. Looks like he's in tremendous shape. I think it's unfortunate what happened in the Weidman fight because I think we could have seen a lot more of the evolution. But regardless, I think that experience is actually going to help Hall here. And I think that Hall might be gun shy at some points early on, but I do think that as fight comes on, the openings will be there for Strickland. I think Strickland's going to expect to be able to go in there and do what he's done to Marshman and Jotko and even Allen. But frankly, Uriah Hall's stand-up game is on such a higher level than any of those 3, with all due respect. So I think this is an extremely close fight. I love that it's 5 rounds. I don't see it going to the ground on either side. And, Hall was losing in that Anderson, maybe like the first round or so, but it was one of those where it was Hall like very clearly in a 5-round fight and I think downloading some information. So, the way that Hall finished that fight, and I do think for Hall that was a very challenging fight for him to take because of his admiration for Silva. I think we saw also with Adesanya him have similar issues. So, Hall was losing to Anderson Silva. I get it. I also, think that, exactly. Taj and I are on the same page here. This is why Taj found this channel. I do think that it was, him taking on an idol. I don't think Uriah Hall idolizes Sean Strickland at all. And again, what else is new? Dana White shitting on a UFC fighter. So nothing new there, unless you're Cheyenne buys, apparently.
Yeah, plus.
Exactly. But, I do like Uriah Hall. I did take a peek at the odds as well, and the dog money too tempting for me to pass up. I got Uriah Hall by 3rd round TKO.
Yeah, man, dude, this fight is an awesome fight. I mean, dude, the more I think about it, the more I get excited about it. Because they're really they're both definitely strikers. Both guys looking to keep it on the feet, but for strikers, they got pretty different styles, and their styles have kind of been each other's Achilles heel. Sean Strickland being a pressure fighter. You know what I'm saying? We saw the last time Uriah Hall lost. He lost to Paulo Costa, who was just eating, all of his big, back pivot kicks and, eating shots and just coming forward and eventually, wearing Uriah Hall down mentally. You see when Sean Strickland, one of the times he got beat because Kamaru Usman just took him down over and over again.
Mhm.
But the one time he got beat, he got knocked out. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, 3 losses isn't a whole lot to go off of, but yeah, I think Sean is gonna put a lot of pressure on him, and I think he has a very imposing presence. Like Sean Strickland is someone I think I would have a blast fighting. I think he would be so much fun to fight against. But I think, especially right now, like you said, Uriah Hall, his problem always was his mental side. It was never his physical side or his skill or his abilities. It was always his mental. And it just seems like mentally lately, and maybe I'm just sipping on the Kool-Aid of whatever, the UFC production crew is putting out there, but it just seems like mentally he is just kind of fixed all those problems that have been plaguing him leading up to this point in his career. And I think right now he's ready to make that push. And, this is his time. Like this is the point where Uriah Hall will never be as good as he is right now. So he's got to make the most out of this. I got Uriah Hall. Second round finish.
All right, man.
Yeah, I was bouncing back between second and third round, but I decided second round. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sean Strickland is a minus 215 favorite. I was shocked by those odds, but when you do look at how he's been performing, he's got some serious momentum right now. But striking wise, I'm not sure who he's faced on his level other than Ponzinibbio, and Ponzinibbio did put him away. I think that while Sean's style is very good and very well could overwhelm Hall, and if he catches him on the chin, I do think he can put him away. I think with the amount of offense Strickland is throwing, there's a ton of opportunities to open up, and Hall needs one fight. Hey, Raul, you're a legend. We love you, man. Have a great night. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the help before the show as well, man. Have a great night. But yeah, we're both on Hall here. Plus 175. Pick them inside the distance. You're getting a significant plus dog here in the main event. And it very well could be Sean Strickland making that absolute statement. Sean Strickland is very well aware of how huge of an opportunity this is. Shout out to Bunny for always bringing in. We were at double digits for this breakdown throughout the night. And it's not going to go past me that I know that's Bunny doing that hype, bringing in the Elliots, bringing in the Mizzies, bringing in the rest of them. We're happy to have the Bunny crew here. The Bunny crew is part of the Dog crew. It's the Dog, Bunny, and Pooh Bear show next week, though, for the pay-per-view. Unfortunately, we lost our one of our title fights in Juliana Pena taking on Amanda Nunes. More what I'm sad about is that Amanda Nunes has to be away from her daughter, Regan, and have COVID, which is super sad. But again, next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m., with barring any technical difficulties, of course.
Oh God,
we got the dog. Yeah, we got the bear coming back. Bunny only makes it up for the pay-per-views. She watches all the events though, but we're super pumped to have her on and everything. But go ahead and check out the LFA 113 breakdown show currently on the channel with Brandon and I of MMA Wagers. Brandon's been the stat guy all night here and been coming through. Check out the Bellator breakdown show as well. It's on this channel right now. Bellator going down on Saturday as well. And Taj, Bunny, honestly, all y'all, Miz, I think I'm going to hit that snoozer as well. What a treat to randomly find Bryan Battle live on YouTube. Love you too, Aaron. Appreciate it, Miz. We'll see you. We'll be back here every single Thursday. The only Thursdays Bryan won't be here is on his fight weeks. But check out The Ultimate Fighter. Next Tuesday, Bryan's on there. And then we will definitely be talking about that with Bunny next Thursday when we break down UFC 266. You're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a banger of a show. But, Bryan, anything else that you want to let the people know about before we say good night here? A little bit later, 11 o'clock finish here, but, we rock it, man. Anything you got?
You know, I mean, hey, the people are here. The people are happy. Thank you for staying with us and sticking with us. Like Aaron said, no, you stay blessed, brother. Uh, you know, we appreciate everyone. Just this Tuesday, I will be having my second episode of Tough. It'll be awesome. I can't wait. It's kind of surreal rewatching this, and it's even more surreal watching it with people. You know, as it's happening, like it's wild. Uh, but yeah, on top of that, you know, keep watching the show. We'll be back every week. You know, just
Yeah,
keep
we're
doing our
here every Thursday, usually 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We're starting TV. It's all good. Just go back, drop us a comment with your thoughts. TV is another guy who we see in here quite a bit, so it's all good, man. We were actually late starting, so you had a chance to really catch us. But I'm really enjoying doing this channel so far. I don't mean to say running it, but enjoying doing this channel. You know, it's just it's meant a lot getting to recognize the people who are coming in here, and more importantly, getting to break down fights with people I really respect, from Brandon to Bunny to obviously Bryan. Really, you know, glad to be part of this channel. It's growing at a faster rate than I expected, and yeah, we just gonna keep on grinding here. I'm not sure what other fights are next week, but definitely UFC 266. It's gonna be the Dog Bunny and Bear show. So tune in.
Ayo.
You're definitely going to tune in next Thursday. But thank you, everybody. Have a great night. We're out. Peace out. Make that cash. Keep taking care of each other. All that good stuff. You know how it is. I'm hitting that end button now.